But we have these daughters and we're working hard and we're, trying, to be good parents, but then also you want to instill in them that drive. And it sounds like your mom was able to do that. And oftentimes we see like what we're doing is not for naught, just being a good example. I love hearing that. It's just encouragement as we keep moving. Okay. So you pave your own way, you meet Taylor, y'all are sitting there together and you say, I have this idea, I want this clothing line, but I also want to join in a social mission with that. So tell us a little bit about your connection with your social mission.
Yeah. So like I said, social mission has been a core part of our business from the start. And our focus has really been on human trafficking and helping organizations who are anti-human trafficking organizations, and then also just really like spreading awareness of the horrifying issue that is sex trafficking in this country. I mean, all over the world, but in this country, and even more specifically in Atlanta, still today. And so that issue specifically was really put on my heart in college when I attended a Christian conference a couple years in college, but they really, I think, they really focused on that issue there. And I mean, before attending, I really had no idea the kind of gravity of the issue. And so leaving, I was like, I have to be one of the many who don't quite know like how terrible and prevalent this still is today. And it just was really put on my heart to want to do something. And so that was always like going to be a core part of our business. But I feel like next step was like, okay, how do we do that? How do we have this fashion line and this social mission and like merge the two? And so the way we do it is we partner primarily with an organization here in Atlanta called Wellspring Living. They do amazing work. And the way we partner with them is twice a year. So like our two major seasons, spring and fall, I design a print that is inspired by a survivor's story. And then that print proceeds from the sales of any pieces in that print are given back to Wellspring. And with that print, any piece sold in the print comes with a tag that shares this woman's story, girl's story. And our goal there is kind of twofold, both to, be able to spread awareness of the issue and also give back, financially to these organizations that are doing such incredible things. So it's been amazing. I mean, we've been able to raise over $40,000 to date for this organization, in addition to, hosting some shopping events for the women and donating lots of pieces to not only them, but other organizations like it kind of all over the country. So it's been a really amazing and rewarding, quite honestly, part of our business.
Yeah, I love hearing that. And it's so, I don't know. I'm just so impressed by your story and your age and like all that you have accomplished already. And sometimes it's just like getting out there and doing it, but like saying, like, I really love this mission and I'm going to incorporate it into my business from the very beginning. Just Lauren and I, even building the Wealth Edit, we realized there's so many moving parts all the time. Sometimes it's hard to focus and like, but there are a few things that we've had to say, these are priorities. Like this is something that we want to do. And I just commend you for doing that. But to your point, it's so interesting how much joy it brings, even though you're like, okay, this is like an extra, like part of my time, but like, it's like what's bringing you so much joy and helps you keep moving forward in that entrepreneurial journey, which is not always easy. Yeah. And just that feeling of like, I'm giving back, like there's more of a why than just building a business for the sake of building a business. Like you have a passion around art, you have a passion for helping these women, and now you're going to incorporate the two together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it gives, our customers like being invested in something like that. They're shopping for a greater cause too, which
Yeah.
It makes everyone feel good.
Yeah. And it's just something that I love about the Wealth Edit, about these Wealth Edit Wednesdays, is like when we get to hear the stories behind the brands that we already know and love. And it's to say, like, for me to now see, like, I see your brand out there and that's what I associate it with. And it's like choosing between the two, you're like, I want to support her. Like, I want to support this mission, and how important it is just to like take the time to like get to know the story behind your brands. Anyway, I just think this is one of the most fun parts of doing the Wealth Edit, is to get to know so many women. Okay, so sorry. We got a little dog in here too. We're kind of falling apart over here today. I got a lot of moving parts. But anyway, okay, so here you are, you've built this business, you've incorporated your passion into it, and now you're growing. And I know it seems like Taylor handles a lot of like, helps y'all together make business decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been a difficult transition from being like, because you are so creative and artistic, to like then take on also running a business?
Yes, for sure. I am learning new things every day. I think what's been so important to me is just, not being afraid to ask questions, knowing, when you are not the most educated on something, and being willing but also like eager to find others to surround yourself with who are more equipped in that arena. I mean, I've been told so many times with hiring, like, hire people who are better than you. I want people who, if I'm, like, our director of operations is amazing. She's been with us for so many years, and she handles and takes on, a lot of the more like business ops side of things. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just so important to surround yourself with good people and people who do have knowledge in areas where you don't. And I think it can be easy to, as like a CEO and manager, to get intimidated by what we don't know, what I don't know. I can do math, but I've never been like a finance person or anything like that. And just kind of knowing that that's okay. And that, everyone brings a different skill set to the table, and figuring out, like, finding those other people who can balance out what maybe your their strengths or your weaknesses. Like, I think that's just so integral to building a successful company.
Yeah. So what was your first hire? Who did y'all hire first as you were building out your team?
It was a director of operations.
Okay.
So Taylor, my co-founder, only works part-time now. She was actually only full-time for the first 6 months, which was kind of the plan. It was the plan the whole time. Mm-hmm. And so we really needed someone to kind of step in and do the ops side that, she helped get off the ground. So that was our first hire, and we went probably far longer than we should have with just the three of us. And then, from there, I feel like, but with each new hire, it's a small business, as everyone knows, you wear so many hats. And I feel like with each new hire, we've really pushed it as long as we possibly can before hiring that new role. And it's like, by the time we hire them, we really need 3 of them. So it's been a slow build, but having that, I think for me, like, as a creative, having someone with more of the operational business mind was so important to bring in first, just to balance out, what I do and what my skill set is. Yeah,
for sure. And I know that it's interesting how those roles play out. And then, like you said, it's like it develops so quickly. I know Lauren and I, not only are you building a team and bringing in talent to help, you're also working with the, like, what do you want your company to feel like internally? Like, how are we working together, and all that. And so I've said, that really does take a lot of time and attention and detail of like building a team mm-hmm. in the right environment with, everyone understanding kind of what your goals are. And it's been a fun process to go through. I don't even know if I said this to you, but I practiced law for like 15 years, like in a, you know, a law practice. And it was just such a different ball of wax than like building your own business and really getting to make those decisions. Like, what does it feel like to work here?
Right.
You know, so, okay. So you bring on your director of ops, and then did you immediately begin selling products? Like, did you go out and find retailers, or did you start online?
Yeah. So we took a very grassroots approach. Truthfully, really this past year was like the first year we've actually like invested money in marketing, which is crazy. But it's been a very, very grassroots approach. So Taylor, the way we started, well, one, we did a Kickstarter and raised money, raised $20,000 on Kickstarter. And then the way we kind of took our first collection, presented our first collection was it was a very small, like tight, I think it was 8 pieces group. And we had a sample set made in all sizes, in a full size run. And we hit the road and did 20 trunk shows showing the line in like a month. It was crazy. Yeah. Just all pretty much through friends and family, hosting these trunk shows at their house, and we collected pre-orders for the pieces. Everyone paid up front, which was kind of our way of being able to pay for that first production run of goods. And that was kind of step one. And then, I mean, from the beginning, we did put everything online, but I think it was interesting. The trunk show model, the main reason we did that was for cash flow purposes, so that we could have the money to pay for that first production run upfront. But by doing that and not offering this first collection to boutiques, it kind of created this like exclusivity demand that we really weren't even anticipating. But that was great. And I built like a decent reputation with a lot of these stores from my previous job too, so I had some credibility there, which was nice. But it just like created this demand, and all these stores wanted the line, which was awesome. And so we did end up selling. This was spring summer collection of 2016. So we ended up selling it to some stores, but then really come fall 2016 collection, like we were up and off the ground. We pretty much right off the bat hired sales reps to rep the line, both in the Southeast and the Southwest. And we're still with that same partner today. They're great and amazing, and they handle so much of the wholesale side of the business, which is awesome. And so really after that first round of trunk shows, I would say like our wholesale business, we really focused on building that. I think wholesale is just such an easy way to get your product out to so many eyes. I mean, just like you said, with the top you bought from a boutique in New Orleans, so you didn't even realize was Crosby. Like, it's just, it's such a great way to get your product in front of so many eyes. And so for the first like 4 years of our business, I would say we were about 70% wholesale to 30% our own D2C. And then this last year, we've always had everything online, but this last year and a half, 2 years, we've really been focused on growing that direct consumer business. And it's almost more of like it's getting closer to like a 50-50 split now, which is great.
Yeah. I'm sure COVID helped that.
Bump
that a little bit. I'd say.
Yes. When all of our stores closed for 2 months, that definitely shifted things a little bit.
Yes. Okay. So if you discuss like having had some relationships from your prior job that you were able to like build upon when marketing your products, what are some other ways that you've networked and like grown your connections with, different boutiques in the Southeast? I know a lot of times women, want to get out there and make connections and figure out how to move forward, and it's hard to know because there's just so many things out there, and there's so many different ways to do it. What would you say have been some of your best like networking opportunities?
So I will say, friends and family have been amazing, and just the power, never underestimate the power of like word of mouth marketing. I think starting with that core community of yours and just really like asking the questions of people to, share about the line. And I think one really special thing, great thing about our product too, is just the compliments that people do get when they're wearing it. I mean, the amount of times that, I've heard someone has told me, I get stopped on the side of the street when I wear your stuff of people asking me where it's from, which is, I mean, the biggest compliment to me, but also like such an organic way to spread the word about the brand. So I think that's great. But beyond that, I think for wholesalers, being in a showroom with sales reps has been amazing for us. I know that's not the best thing for everyone, but for us, that has been such a great way to build that side of our business. And I think also like me taking the time to show face in those scenarios and be there and meet these stores, and everybody wants to be a part of the story and feel like, it's so much more than just buying clothing. It's like knowing the brand and the owner and their story, and kind of just like I just think there's so much value in like face-to-face interaction. And so that has been important for me, and I probably don't do it as much as I should anymore. But just really like taking that time to have FaceTime with our customers. And then I would say, certainly like leveraging these sorts of networks and networks full of other, female entrepreneurs. I think it can be a lonely place, as a business owner a lot of times, and as a female business owner. And so really like just not being afraid to leverage those relationships. I've attended a couple of conferences in the last year, both the Southern Sea and Pencil and Paper Co's Creative Club that just happened just a few weeks ago in Charleston. And I think, conferences like that, gatherings like that, where you're in a room full of like-minded women all doing incredible things, not necessarily in your industry, but still going through, riding that entrepreneurial roller coaster of the highs and the lows and all of those things. I think leveraging those opportunities is super important, and taking the time, within those conferences to really like make that extra effort and that extra step and just go up to people and introduce yourself and tell them who you are and what you do. Cause you never know who you're going to come across and what they might have to offer you and what you could possibly offer them.
Well, I love what you said. Krista Cotton's on the call. She's in New Orleans, and she went to the Southern Sea with me, and we had the best time. But if anybody has to go to a conference, y'all need to follow Krista around, because she's the best networker you've ever seen.
We had dinner together while we were there.
And but anyway, it's interesting, like how you just get in there and you just have that mindset of like, I'm going to just go in there and just start. And it has been so neat to see those relationships, because as you said, building a business can be really lonely, and especially because oftentimes it requires so much of your attention. It's hard to get out there and just connect with friends like you always have or whatever. And so to find other women that understand what you're going through and can say like, I get it. I had this conversation with my family because I was like, y'all don't even ever ask about like what's going on, and this is really truly like all I do at the moment. And my brother said, well, I don't want to talk about my job at the bank. I would assume you wouldn't want to talk about your job. And I realized, there's a different mentality sometimes when you're building a business that's so much a part of who you are and like your heart and your passion, and then to like connect with other women and say like, they get it, and that's where, and truly, that's what the Wealth Edit is about. I mean, that is from where Lauren and I came from. I lost my husband of 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago. And I longed for a community of other women who were kind of going through the same thing I was and trying to make decisions. And now I'm building a business and longing for a community with women to talk to, or I changed careers and I was longing for a community. And that's what the Wealth Edit is. It's a community where
Right.
women can connect and say, I want to find other people who are doing and living through what I'm having to do. And, wealth is about so much more than money. It doesn't have to be just about dollars. It's, yes, there's a huge part of that where we all need to like create that new modern skill set of being able to at least embrace and acknowledge, like, I need to understand what's going on here.
Right.
But I can also surround myself with people who are even better, but I need to find those people. But also, I want to build a healthier life, and that's wealth as well. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so we're coming up on our 30 minutes, but we always ask at the end of the call, why did you say yes to the wealth edit, or said differently, like, why do you think it's important that women come together to talk about wealth?
Yeah. Well, I think, so much of what we just talked about with just the importance of community. And I think women are, we're much more natural, like, nurturers and have, that care and desire to not only thrive ourselves, but to see other women thrive and succeed. And I think, especially in the South too, I do feel like these communities are genuine, and women really do genuinely want to build each other up and help each other any ways that we can. And I think, I think I said this earlier, but there's always something that you are going to be more skilled at than others, and there's always something that others are going to be more skilled at than you. And so there's always an opportunity to learn. There's always an opportunity to share and teach. And I think anytime you say yes to a conversation or a community or something like this, like, there's always I think some sort of nugget of either information or even just something that could spark an idea in your head for your own business that, is you can take away from community and things like this. So I think what y'all are doing is amazing, and just building women up, and not being afraid to talk about the money side of things. Cause I think that's not necessarily in a lot of, our nature and for a lot of us. And so just very honored to be a part of what y'all are doing.
Well, thank you, Molly. We just so appreciate it. Now, if somebody wants to find, what's the easiest way to find Crosby?
Yeah. So we have a website. It's crosbybymollyburch.com. Molly's with an IE and Burch is with a U. Didn't realize there are going to be so many spelling question marks in my name, but so it's crosbybymollyburch.com, and then our Instagram is also the same handle, just at crosbybymollyburch.
Okay. We'd
love for you to follow along.
Yes, well, I recommend your top. I've already gotten like 4 compliments on it. To your point, it's a showstopper. So thank you.
Oh, yay, that makes
all right. Cool. Well, have a wonderful day, and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.